Welcome back to the Tianjin Climate Conference here in China. I'm delighted to be welcomed by Nicole Oliveira, I hope I've pronounced that right, from Greenpeace Brazil. And you're going to tell us a little bit about some of the big issues and challenges facing Brazil, and also some of the opportunities that your country has when it comes to dealing with climate change. But maybe we should start with the difficult bits. Maybe we should start with the challenges. What's important when it comes to Brazil and climate change?
Well, thank you for this invitation, for being here, first of all. About Brazil and climate change, the biggest issue nowadays is the deforestation, as 75% of all our emissions come from the burning of the forests. So as you burn it for producing soy to feed the cattle or to have cattle land, all this carbon that was imprisoned inside the trees goes into the air, and then it's a giant load of emission contributing for the climate change.
And is this something which is happening, on a huge scale, or is it a big problem, a small problem? How concerned should we be?
It's a very big problem. Every year there's a huge chunk of the forest being taken away. It has decreased, so it's good news. However, there's still a long way to go. There's more than 2,000 spots of burning still in the forest, not only in the Amazon, but in the other forests in Brazil. The government is saying that it's necessary, well, parts of the government is saying that it's necessary to keep burning the forest for development, but it's not really true. You can actually increase productivity inside the farms without having to burn new forests. So there's plans for building new roads into the Amazon, which means more burning, more deforestation. So we have to act now, and we have to protect it, and we have to maintain what's called the forest code, which is a law that protects the forests inside the properties.
Presumably it's quite difficult to protect forest. If you stop somebody chopping down one bit of forest, maybe they chop down another bit, and people live there and people feel like they need the energy. What are some of the kind of practical solutions? Are there any ideas on the table as to how Brazil could achieve this?
Well, first of all is the maintenance of this code, which is an old one, and it obliges the farm owners to keep part of their forest inside their land intact. So there's a movement now to annul this law, and if this happens, it's really a problem. So if we keep that, it's already great. Greenpeace has done great work inside Brazil, especially in the Amazon, and they are dealing with the cattle production companies and the big supermarket chains and the big fast food industry and the consumers. So it's tackling also politics, and it's trying to maintain the forest as much as they can.
And so we've spoken about some challenges as far as forestry is concerned. Is it also the case that Brazil's looking at exploring some deep water drilling? Is that correct?
Yes. Petrobras has discovered what's called pre-salt layer, which is a very big amount of oil under the ocean, and it goes up to 7,000 meters deep into the ocean. And if they really start drilling all this oil that they are talking about, it's going to double its emissions of carbon, and then Brazil is going to become the top 5 biggest emitters in the world.
Wow. Okay, so that's quite a significant development. You say that it's 7 kilometers. It sounds very, very deep. Is that kind of deeper than in the Gulf, where we've just had this massive oil spill? It's even deeper than that.
7,000. It's 7 times deeper.
Seven times deeper.
Yes, and the problem is not only for the carbon emissions, because there's the oil, and then on top of the oil there's a layer of CO2, which is stored under the ocean. So as we start drilling, this gas is going to be released, as well as when you drill and when you explore the oil, you have to burn it. So this burning and then the consumption, and we're going to probably export it. So this is a big problem, and also we have the big risk of an accident like that happened in the Gulf of Mexico. And once you start drilling the oil, the pressure is so strong you cannot stop it anymore. So if there's an accident, it's going to look really bad.
Okay, so yeah, this does sound like a big challenge. Is there a political movement and a social movement challenging this kind of discovery of oil and the plans to drill it? Is there kind of lots of people in Brazil mobilizing, or is it seen as good news? Good news for the economy. Like where's kind of the activism in relation to this discovery of oil?
Okay, as Lula is announcing as a gift of God, because he's saying that this is going to bring economic development to the country, but it's actually you can have energy revolution, so you can have green energy everywhere, and you don't need to drill this oil, and you can develop without that. So far, it hasn't been any movement against the drilling of the oil, and the only discussions that have been happening, especially by the sustainability movements, is what to do with the profit from the oil. So what they're saying is, of course, there's governors fighting for the royalties and who's going to get the money from it. It's very big, loads of money. But there's also the sustainability experts are talking about reinvesting this money from the profit into renewable energy. But nobody's talking about the emissions yet.
Okay, so it sounds like there's certainly some major challenges. What's the good news? What can we get from Brazil which makes us think, okay, there's hope? And I guess there must be a lot of potential for renewable energy from the country, for example. How is Brazil moving forward on that front?
Okay, Greenpeace did a very interesting study called the Energy Revolution. It's available for download on the website. And this study proves that it's economically and technologically possible to do an energy revolution. So in Brazil, there's also a study similar called Energy Revolution, and it proves scientifically that you can have solar and wind energy, and it has lots of potential for it, especially in the northeast. And this can substitute completely all types of energy. The good news is also that in Brazil, the problem is deforestation and not so much coal or other kinds of dirty energy. If you can say so, from other countries. So good news is that almost 80% of all Brazilian energy comes from clean energy. So if we tackle deforestation and if we don't drill the oil, we're going to have a very, very clean country without so many emissions.
Maybe that's a nice note to end the interview on. Yes. Nicole, thanks very much for joining us. It's been really interesting talking to you, and perhaps we'll catch up with you later this week or maybe in Mexico, and we'll see how things are moving forward.
Yes, thank you, Adam.
Thanks.